second speaker. Oh, a little backstory, everybody. Before I introduce this amazing man, a little backstory. I met MLS Mishak when I was in, oh no, it was when I was in 300, 400 level. I did my first posting at the when I was in 300 level. Then there was a gap of a year. Then I came back to Ido. One of the very first scientists I met in the lab was Emily Mishak. Mishak did not specifically know me. He just knew, oh, he had, from what I heard, he had a encounter with FUOYE students, so he's aware they always come around. But he has never seen me. He's just aware that, oh, you're one of those FUOYE students. And you have to see how welcoming the scientist was. It was so welcoming. I had series of questions to ask. And like Mishak took his time out of his very busy time explaining those questions, and we sat together around the table and understand. So that is how amazing our next speaker is. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be reading the bio of MLS Mishak. Dr. Mishak is a medical laboratory scientist currently in Ekiti State, Nigeria, who graduated with a first class honors in medical laboratory science from the prestigious University of Benin City, Edo State. He has contributed scientific literature with a published study on the multiple antibiotic resistance index of Klebsiella pneumoniae in the Journal of Medicine and Biomedical Research. He is an active voice in the MLS professional community, involved in organizing promotional examinations and related professional development activities within Nigeria healthcare sector. A seasoned public speaker, Meshach has featured across various webinars, interviews, and seminars, engaging both academic and faith-based audiences on topics spanning professional development, research, and personal growth. He is passionate about mentoring students and early career professionals in the field. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have them in the house, can you please help me applaud this man of honor as I welcome MLS Idoko Misha to the stage? You are very welcome, sir. Good evening, sir. MLS Misha, if you can hear me, we would like to have you on the stage now. You are very welcome, sir. It's good to have you here.
Okay, good evening. Thank you very much for the warm welcome and for that beautiful citation. I'm very, very grateful to be here. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. Good evening, sir. You are very welcome. And thank you for having us.
Oh, thank you so very much. So, I'm grateful to God for the opportunity to be with you all today. Can you see my screen? Can you still see my screen? Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. We can see your screen, sir.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, okay, thank you very much. So, first of all, I appreciate God for the opportunity to be here with you guys. And secondly, I am standing in for MLS Ife. I want to appreciate MLS Ife for giving me the opportunity to stand to some of his schedule. He had to recommend me to Edusam Tutorials to take this in his place. So I'm grateful to that. And I'm grateful to the executive team members of Edusam Tutorials for also deeming fit to have me here. I want to appreciate our co-presenter Habibat, who has presented so beautifully. I appreciate that presentation, and I also appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight for this webinar. Lastly, I count it a great honor to have my business coach with us tonight, my mentor, my great leader that I celebrate so much. When he saw the advert I shared in my Facebook timeline, he was excited and decided to join us. So I'm very, very grateful, Mr. Emmanuel, the synergist, for also joining us tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. So we'll be moving on to the presentation. We are looking at building a solid foundation, the key to clinical excellence. I want to once again welcome the new 300 level students of medical laboratory science of Federal University Oye-Ekiti. You are welcome to your clinical year. Welcome to 300 level. I'm sure it's going to be a beautiful experience for every one of you. And that's why a webinar like this has been created to help you prepare adequately for what is ahead of you. This is more like the foundation already. We are laying the foundation for the excellence that you desire. You know, when we talk about clinical years, we are looking at the period of transition from your sciences, your basic medical sciences that you have been taught in 100 level and in 200 level. And now you are moving properly into the medical laboratory science. And this involves receiving lectures in your class and also going out for your medical postings in the laboratory. So it has a lot to do with your profession. You understand? This is not just the science you've been receiving in 100 level. This is not just the basic medical sciences you've received in 200 level. Now you have entered your profession properly. And that's why this is a very, very important topic. So in this presentation, we'll look at what clinical excellence is. We would also consider what does this clinical excellence looks like in practice. When we talk about excellence, what does it look like in practice? How do I see or how do I know that I this clinical excellence? So first of all, clinical excellence is the consistent, safe, accurate, and ethical delivery of laboratory diagnostic services performed in a way that positively and reliably shapes patient outcomes. Your clinical period is a period where you will be having interactions with your patients, most especially everything you do in the laboratory is not just specimens that you have treated when you were in your school lab. These are specimens that are coming from real individuals who are also expecting outcomes that will improve their health. So clinical excellence is not just being flawless, but it's about being consistently reliable, producing results that are consistently reliable, results that are safe, results that are accurate, results that are ethical. As we proceed in this presentation, you get to understand this terminology. Now, I want you to understand that clinical excellence is a habit that is built through repeated right choices and not just a one-time achievement. Clinical excellence is not a one-time achievement. It is your habit. It becomes a habit. It becomes your lifestyle. It becomes you because this is a profession and excellence is required of you. So this excellence is not judged by your intentions, but it is judged by your patients and the clinicians that you're working with through your results. Because in this profession, it is actually your results that people are interested in. The reliable results you are able to produce every day from your laboratory. That's what they're interested in. Nobody cares about how you look. Nobody cares about what is your color, your body color, or how tall you are. What everybody is interested in is the results that you are producing. It is that result that will speak for you in the clinician's office. It is that result that will speak for you in the world. It is that result that will speak for you at home. So that is where the excellence is being seen. So it is your patients that will judge your excellence. It is the clinicians that will judge your excellence. It is the receiver, everyone that has contact with that result that will judge your excellence. I want you to know that roughly about 70% of all clinical decisions rely on laboratory test results. And that's why MLS professionals are at the center of patient care. We are known as the bedrock of modern medicine. And that's why excellence is required of us. So what does excellent looks like in practice? How do I know that I am an excellent medical laboratory scientist? Or how can somebody look at me or look at my result and say this result or this practice of this person is excellent? Number one, accuracy and precision is something we don't joke with in this profession. What is accuracy and what is precision? I want you to take note of this, especially for every one of you in 300 level. Accuracy has to do with how close a measurement is to the true or accepted value. When we talk about accuracy, we're talking about the correctness of a result. Then when we talk about precision, precision is how close a series of measurements are to each other. When I repeat a procedure or when I repeat a particular test on the same sample, do I get consistently similar values? That is what precision is talking about. But accuracy is that the values I'm getting, is it close to the true value? Is it close to the accepted value? That's what accuracy is all about. Let me give you an example to buttress the point. You are given a specimen or uh, um, a plasma to conduct the to find out the to work on a fasting blood glucose in the laboratory, and you're giving that sample. You ran your test, and you got let's say 4.5 millimole per liter. Now you ran it the second time, it gave you 6 millimole per liter. You ran it the third time, it gave you 4.4. That you did, if it has that kind of measurement, you notice that this is accurate in the sense that that is close to the true value. You're getting 4.5, 4.6, 4.4. That is close to the true value. If let's say the truth value is actually 4.5, maybe someone has done it and the value is actually 4.5, but you repeated yours and you got 4.5 at the point, you got 4.4 at the point, you got 4.6 at the point. So these values are close to the true value. That's what it means that your result is accurate. Now, when do we say your result is precise? Is the fact that if you look at the repeated values you got, they are still close to each other. That means that result is also precise. I believe I'm communicating. But if, for example, your values you got were now like let's say 3.1, 3.2, 3.4. Now you notice that this value you got is not accurate in as much as the value is precise because they are close to each other, but it is not accurate because it is not close to the true value that is supposed to get, the expected result you're supposed to get. The expected result you're supposed to get was 4.5, but now you're getting 3.1, you're getting 3.2, you're getting 3.4. So that is an inaccurate result, although it is precise. So results that are correct and repeatable every single time is said to be accurate and precise. And that's what shows excellence in clinical practice. Apart from being accurate and precise, timeliness is also required of you. That is to be able to present your results at the time you're supposed to present the results, not delivering results lately. Timeliness is required. That's what shows that you're excellent. And also professionalism and ethics, integrity in reporting your results, never falsifying results or guessing a result. You don't guess a patient's result. Remember, you're dealing with life. You're not dealing with specimen in your laboratory that you did in school. This one now, everything you do now, you're dealing with a patient's life. Now you're going to be going to your laboratory, clinical postings in various laboratories. So everything you do now, you're dealing with life. And that's why you don't falsify a result. Or maybe someone comes and tell you that, please, I want you to give me positive a result. Maybe some ladies can come and tell that, please, I want to do pregnancy test, but please make it positive for me. Are you following? So, and then you now, because you are interested in maybe making extra money because of the benefits you're going to get from that lady, you now go ahead and give her positive, even though she's negative. That is not ethical. You are going beyond. You're not doing what is expected of you. Integrity is very important in our profession. You must not falsify any results, regardless of the so-called benefits you may get. You mustn't falsify, and you must not guess a result. Maybe you're going through a procedure and then you're trying to guess the result. No, that is not permitted. You report what you got exactly. And then there must be effective communication. In our practice, we don't work alone. You have other persons working with you. You have your colleagues, you have senior scientists working with you have those who are supervising you, and you have clinicians, you have other workers in the um, centers. So there must be proper communication. For example, there must be clear handovers. If, for example, you're going to do a work and then hand it over to the next person, then you should properly communicate what you have done. You should properly report what you have done so that the next person taking over from you should be able to understand what you have done and be able to continue in the process. Not that when they get to continue your work, they are finding it difficult to understand what you've done, and that will not make the work hard for them to continue. So, effective communication shows that excellence. Number five, continuous learning. Our profession is one that constantly improves with time. Every day, things are being developed, new innovation keep coming in, new methodologies keep coming in. So you cannot just depend on only that information you heard yesterday. You must keep improving your learning by engaging yourself in continuous learning. The truth is, what you may be told yesterday may not be relevant again today. So that's why you must give yourself to constant learning so that you can be current with the present day technique, with the present day guideline, and with new evidences to back up your procedures. And most importantly, for us to talk about excellence, you cannot talk about excellence without considering our patients, because everything we do is for our patient. And that's why you must be patient centered. Remember that there is a real person behind every sample you're working with. There are some laboratories you will work in. You may not have opportunities to have direct contact with your patient, but that sample you are holding, remember that sample you're holding, whether it is a blood sample, whether it is a urine sample, whether it is a CSF sample, that is cerebrospinal fluid sample, whichever sample it is, just so that sample is representing a real person. Is that clear? So we move on. Now you're moving from 300 level to your clinical year. What is it like? Your preclinical years involve you learning theories, always being in the classroom, receiving lectures from your lecturers. At the end of the day, you write your exams. They test your recalling abilities and your understanding of the particular concept you have been taught. And most times, the mistakes you make in those your preclinical years would only affect your grade, right? And your lecturers are the one that guide most of your learning. In 100 level, in 200 level, they were guiding most of your learning. But now that you're coming into 300 level, your clinical year, I want you to take note of the following. This time around, learning happens on real patient samples. You go to the laboratory. You're not just dealing with random samples. You're not just dealing with a hypothetical sample. You're dealing with real patient samples. So you must take note of that. You must also know that every result can affect a real diagnosis. You are at the center of diagnosing what is wrong with a patient. So every result you produce going to the clinician's office is going to affect the diagnosis. And that's why mistakes can cost a patient's health. You don't want to joke with the procedures. You don't want to joke with what you do. Every single mistake can affect a patient's health. That's why you must actively observe, you must ask questions, and you must continue to learn. You're going to the laboratory, observe, watch, pay attention, look at what people are doing, the scientists, watch what they are doing, ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be shy to ask questions.
and make sure you give yourself to learning. So now, what are now these foundations for clinical excellence? How do you get there from where you are now, starting from this, your very first clinical posting? Number one, strong observation skills. Strong observation skills. Very, very important. Excellence begins with truly seeing what is in front of you, not just looking at it. It is not that the more you look, the less you see. No way. This one is, as you're looking, make sure you are seeing. So, for you to gain clinical excellence, you must be someone who is very, very observant. You go to the laboratory, you don't want to be pressing your phone in the lab. That is wrong. It shows that you're not serious. It shows that you don't know what brought you to the lab. You have scientists working and then you are busy talking with your friends, or maybe you're busy doing something else when your scientists are working. You're supposed to observe what is going on. You're supposed to notice things happening in the lab. Try to check what is happening differently from what you expect it to happen, from what you expect to happen. Color changes, hemolysis, you handle blood samples. How do you see that, okay, this particular blood is looking this way and this other blood is looking this way? How do you differentiate when a blood has been hemolyzed? How do you differentiate when a blood is already clotted? How do you differentiate when your instrument is now behaving unusually? All those things are things you get to know through observation. Also, comparing normal against abnormal deliberately. You train your eye by consciously constructing today's sample, what you did today. You look at it, compare it with what the normal should be like. In the classroom, you may have been taught, okay, this is how the normal value should be like, this is the reference range. Then you compare it with what you have been done that day. Does it fall in line with the reference range? Is it above the normal? Is it below the normal? That way you are helping yourself, you are observing. So you build the habit on every shift. It is not just a one-time thing. Every day as you come to the lab, you ask yourself the question, what did you notice that day? What did you do? What did you people do that day? This is what builds your excellence in the long run. Secondly, attention to details. You must learn to pay attention to details, not just observe alone generally. You must pay attention to every minute thing that is done in the lab. There is nothing that is insignificant. You watch your scientist, he's working in the lab, and then you notice that, okay, maybe he's working with a pipette and he's hitting the pipette close to the tube. He's not just doing it for play, he's not playing with the pipette. So you ask yourself, why is he doing that? Or the scientist, I noticed that he was always hitting the pipette after dispensing the fluid. Why is he doing that? You must pay attention to details. Because in the laboratory, simple errors, small error, do not stay small. Don't think it is those kind of mistakes you make when you're in your practical in the school that you can maybe ignore certain mistakes. No. Those small errors can magnify into wrong results and wrong diagnosis. And that's why you must pay attention to basics. Make sure you master the basics rightly every time. You must learn correct sample handling, correct sample labeling, precise pipetting, accurate dilutions. You check expiring date of reagent that you are working with. Don't just work blindly with reagents. Look at the reagents, check the expiring date. Make sure that this reagent you are working with is still potent, so that you don't end up wasting your time working with a reagent that has expired, and then that will now give you a wrong result. So please check all those things. Pay attention to details. Follow SOPs, your standard operating procedures. You must follow them. You don't guess. And that's why in the laboratory, our SOPs are printed out and pasted in the lab, or compiled together in an SOP register, so that everybody working in the lab works uniformly. You get it now? This will avoid deviation. This will avoid too many risky results. You must also slow down when it matters, especially when you begin to get some critical values. You must double check your results rather than rushing to finish. Nobody pays you for you trying to rush, and then at the end of the day you now get a wrong result. Although everybody expects that their result should come timely. But in the process of trying to rush, don't end up giving a wrong result. Speed never excuses inaccuracy. Are you getting me? Nobody will want to hear that, it was because I was fast, though, that's why this thing came out wrong. Nobody wants to hear that. So that's the reason why, in as much as you're fast, you must also be accurate and precise in the laboratory. Thirdly, you must know why things are done the way they are done. Not only do you know how things are done as a medical laboratory scientist, you must also understand why they are done. Understanding the reasoning behind a procedure is what turns you from being a technician into a scientist. Remember, you're not a technician, you're a scientist. So you must move from how to why. And that's why when you're in the classroom, before every test procedure is taught to you, you are also being taught the principles behind that test. You are taught the science behind that test. You are even taught the value for that test. Why is this test done? What are we looking out for in the patient? What is the principle behind the science? What is the science behind the procedure? Are you getting it now? So you don't just memorize steps, you understand the principle behind the quality control. You understand the principle behind every reagent you are using. What is this reagent playing? What role is the reagent playing? When I mix this reagent A with reagent B, what is reagent A doing? What is reagent B doing in that reaction? You must understand all of these things. This is what makes you clinically excellent MLS. You must ask questions respectfully and often. You are working with senior scientists, definitely in this your 300 level, you may not do much. You may not do much. You may not work in the lab. Nobody expects you to do much. So, but what is expected of you is to observe, first of all, in this 300 level. And so, during your observation, ask questions. You see your scientist doing something in a particular manner. Ask questions. Why are you doing it this way? Funny enough, there are certain methods that you may have been taught in classroom that may even be different in the lab when you come to the lab during your medical posting. You want to ask questions and ask, why is this method this way? Why are you using this method? Why are you not using this method? Try to find out. Because when you ask those questions, there are hidden things you will now bring up that the scientists may not naturally tell you, even when you are standing with them. But through those your questions, you will make your scientists to answer and even to tell you more things that you may not have been taught in the classroom. So this shows engagement. It does not show that you're weak. Asking questions does not mean that you're weak. Asking questions does not show that you are over savvy. You know, sometimes when you're asking questions, some people say, oh, now only you there. No, it's not only you there. You paid your school fee, so ask questions. So also read beyond the checklist. Revisit your SOPs, your manuals, your course material. Connect them with the practicals you're seeing. Connect them with the procedures you're seeing. See if they are aligning. See if they are different. And if they are different, why are they different? Is it because of the peculiarities of that lab? Because one of the things you must take note of is that every lab is peculiar. What is operational in this lab may not be operational in another lab due to the infrastructures, due to the reagent, due to different factors. You see it now. So if you ask questions, you begin to figure out differences that in the future, when you become a full-fledged MLS, you begin to understand that when you are left alone to work, because you understand the reasons behind things that you have been observing before, when you are alone, you now know how to adapt to certain environment, whichever environment you find yourself. So this is the reason why understanding the why behind every test is very, very important. Let me give you a bonus point: discipline and integrity. Observation, detail, and understanding only matter if they are practiced consistently and honestly. What is consistency? Doing the right thing the same way every time, not only when you are being supervised or assessed. So don't just do the right thing only when your senior scientist is watching you. Do the right thing always. Because we're talking about excellence as a habit, not just a one-time thing. It's a habit. And habit is built based on consistency. Something you don't do always cannot become a habit. So that's why consistency is very important. Integrity also. Report exactly what you find. Don't falsify, don't estimate, don't guess the result because you want to save time. or because you are trying to avoid repeating your procedure, you now guess the result. That is wrong, because that is going to affect the diagnosis. This is a real patient you're working with. And lastly, accountability, very, very important. You must own up to your mistakes early and speak up. When you're carrying out a procedure, you notice that a mistake has happened or a mistake has occurred. Don't hide it. Maybe you're working with the scientist, you hide it because you don't want them to maybe caution you or something. You now hide it and then continue the procedure. That will affect the results. Please don't hide mistakes. When you notice that you've done a mistake, you are under training now. Nobody expects perfection from you. You are under training. So any mistakes you notice, you report it immediately so that your senior scientists will know how to correct the mistake and then know how to get the right result. So what are the practical steps to start with? Now that I know some of you have started your posting already. Some of you have started your external posting. Some of you have gone to some labs to start learning. So, but for those who have not started and for those who have also started, these are practical steps that you can start with from today. Arrive early and observe a procedure fully before attempting it yourself. See, lateness to the lab is highly prohibited. The truth is, when we started the seminar today, when we started this webinar, I noticed that most of us came late. Especially even the people that the seminar was organized for were not even at the beginning of the seminar. It was others who were to train them that are in the venue, which is actually wrong. If you must become professional, if you must be excellent in this practice, you must learn to arrive early. Because most of the times, if you go to your laboratory late, you will notice that your scientists have even started working. Sometimes they may even finish the work before you enter. And nobody cares that you come late. Some persons may even caution you. Some persons would penalize you for coming late. Lateness, you're not doing it to anybody. You're doing it to yourself. When you come late, you miss out of important things that you would have learned. And that's why arriving early to the lab is very, very important. And not only do you arrive early, you also observe every procedure before attempting it yourself. Don't be too quick to try things. First of all, observe. Observe very well before attempting them. And then secondly, keep a clinical reflection journal. Always go with your writing material. Write down what you saw. Write down what you've learned that day. Take note of the procedures. Take note of the principles. Take note of the value of the test. All of this is building you gradually. Ask thoughtful questions. Ask the why behind everything, behind every procedure. Ask for the why. Review your SOPs, your course notes. Review them when you get back home. Check what you have done in the lab and also compare it with your manuals that you have at home. Compare the two. You're not just doing that because of exam. You're doing that to become an excellent professional in the future. You're becoming great in the future, the great MLS that you desire. So that's the reason why you learn these SOPs. You familiarize yourself with them. You're not doing it to just end in the exam hall. Because MLS does not end in the exam hall. That's not what makes you a real MLS. What makes you a real MLS is that you are able to also function, you are able to perform in the lab. So that's why, as you're working, also seek feedbacks from your senior scientists and your supervisors. Ask them questions to be sure that let them give you feedback so that you know if you're improving or not. Then build genuine relationship with them so that you can learn more. Because if you don't build relationship with them, you cannot learn. If you are not teachable, nobody will teach you. So you have to submit yourself to learn so that you can learn. Excellence is often passed down. So, in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, excellence is not an act, but a habit. It is not a one-time thing, it is a habit. Build one correct result, one careful observation, and one honest report at a time. So your clinical years start now. I encourage you to build your foundation well. So ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you for your time and your attention. Thank you very, very much.